Welcome to The Topic, where we highlight Houston Community College, our students, our programs, and our reach into the community. I'm Todd Duplantis. Welcome to the show. Joining me today is Faculty Senate President Desmond Lewis. Thanks for being here on The Topic.
No problem, no problem.
Now tell me, Faculty Senate President, for folks who are watching the show who aren't familiar with this, you're a member of the faculty, but you're representing the faculty for the next calendar or school year. Tell us about that.
Right, as the Faculty Senate President, basically I act as the voice for the next academic year for issues that come up with faculty, and also to act as that go-between with administration and faculty to help make things more equitable across the board. It's the most extreme version of shared governance that I've seen that really works at this institution.
Right now, is there a disconnect between faculty and the administration? Are you looking to bridge that over the next year? What are some of your goals?
Well, some of my goals, I would say that there's a disconnect in many different areas with communication. I wouldn't just say it's administration and faculty, but when you think of an institution the size of HCC, it's easy for messages to become subjected to various iterations as they move from person to person. So for me, what I would like to do over the next academic year is to help foster a stronger sense of belonging within everyone here at the institution. Now, since my area of influence is the strongest with faculty, I'm starting and focusing more with faculty. To do so, I've come up with this acronym a lot. I'm going to ask, listen, observe, and think. And I've broken it down for the entire year into 4 different segments with the equity, engagement, success, and access. And I'm starting off with access at the beginning of the year to look at the various areas of access that there may be some stopgaps and the positives and negatives that we have here at the institution to approach those using the various committees within Faculty Senate.
What made you want to get into this role of service? Because you do have a teaching load you've taken on right now, and I imagine you were a full-time faculty before this. What made you want to get into service?
Well, prior to this, I was the Department Chair of Integrated Reading and Writing. So as Department Chair, I had a much more expansive understanding of the institution. So, and it's not necessarily a want, it's a need. For me, I always end up doing what I feel is I need to do to help to expand the voice of those who sometimes feel as though they don't want to speak up. So in this position, it allows me to speak with a lot more clarity with administration directly, as opposed to going through so many go-betweens. So again, to represent those individuals whom of which felt as though they may be a little bit more disenfranchised than others in regard to being able to communicate their needs or issues throughout the institution.
You mentioned communication being a barrier between the faculty and 3100 Main, which is where our offices are located. Is that your biggest challenge, or what would you consider your biggest challenge now, trying to mend that?
Well, it's not necessarily just that as a challenge. I think that's an opportunity. It's an opportunity not just for communication, but I think, again, to go back to that whole idea of a sense of belonging. If you feel as though you're vested in an institution, you're able to communicate clearly and unapologetically to get things across. So it's not a huge challenge in the sense of something that people don't already know in regard to being able to communicate effectively. So yes, that's a part of what I'm trying to do, but the main part of what I'm trying to do is for individuals to see themselves in HCC, to see that this institution is not just a set of buildings, but it's actually the people here.
You had a message you were getting across. We had a recent event for all the faculty and staff called Convocation. You delivered a message to the audience. Maybe you can talk about that message and what you got across that day.
Well, the idea that I was trying to get across, again, with that whole asking, listening, observing, and thinking. I'm not a person who has knee-jerk reactions, so I would like individuals to look at the situations that are going on and ask those difficult questions. I believe that it's important to become comfortable with being uncomfortable. And sometimes, if you're able to do so, then you're able to bridge some of those communication opportunities that are there that are not being leveraged as much as they should be. So on instructional days that you're referring to, during that time period, I wanted everyone to begin to look at his or her sphere of influence as individuals and collectively to see where we're going based upon the strategic plan at the institution, based upon our existing infrastructure, and how we can begin to grow organically. Because for better or worse, this is a familial type situation. We opt into it when we work at places because we spend most of our time here. But if a person doesn't feel as though his or her voice actually counts, how are you supposed to actually give of yourself fully? Sometimes it becomes robotic. You just come and do and do and do and do. But if you don't understand how what you're doing fits into the big picture, again, there's a certain level of detachment that may happen. And I'm not saying that happens with every single person, but I'm sure it does, which would translate into low morale and other types of issues.
Are those low morale and those type of issues, are those things that you've had to deal with over the past few years here at HCC?
I think in higher education across the board that it happens. I think it happens with the climate that we're going through politically, with higher education budgets being constricted from the governmental level all the way down to the institution. And when you start looking at places like 3100, which has a much higher macro view of things, it's different when you're on the campus level, when it's really micro. So if that information is not translated in a way that individuals on those campuses can actually carry them out to see that it's effective, then it can become a problem. It can become problematic. So again, the idea of morale, I'm going to go back with self, empowering an individual to do what he or she can do. And I told people this on convocation, that I'll act as that amplifier, I act as that megaphone for the issues that come up, and we'll work through them, together. I'm not a person who comes in with an adversarial situation or an adversarial attitude towards anyone or any type of administration or faculty or whatever, but I will act as a champion for those issues and that come about that normally, or people feel as though typically, they haven't been heard.
You mentioned earlier disenfranchised, and you talk about voices not being heard. If you could say in the next few months you could do one important thing, what would it be to try to resolve that situation?
Well, there's not just one important thing I would like to do. That's why I came up with the acronym a lot.
A lot.
Yeah, it's because I'm trying to accomplish a lot. As you and I were speaking, off camera a few moments ago, hopefully developing research centers across the institution where faculty can actually conduct scholarly research that can be published. I think that would help because it would intertwine staff, faculty, and it would be a very low-impact economical way of integrating many of the services that are already existing here. I would also like to look at developing an HCC radio, which I think could be leveraged in many different ways.
Absolutely.
That could connect individuals such as yourself. Being in the basement of 3100, how many people know that you're here?
Right.
I didn't until a year or two ago. So, and maybe I'm in the minority of individuals, but it's difficult to see. But if you could hear this, and students and faculty and staff and administrators all were able to communicate using that type of media, it would be, I think, extremely impactful.
Desmond Lewis, Faculty Senate President, you have your work cut out for you. Thanks for joining us here on the topic today and letting us know more about your goals and where you're going to be going this year.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more coming up. Stay tuned to The Topic.
I've seen people's lives change just by attending a class at HCC.
Some of them might not have the financial means to go to a four-year university. That doesn't make them any less quote-unquote smart than the kids who go to a four-year school.
HCC is easy to get to. It's easy to apply and easy to become a part of.
It gave me so much confidence.
Once you finish your 2 years there, you can transition into a four-year university or go into the workforce.
It's affordable, it's accessible, it changes lives.
Welcome back to The Topic. I'm Todd Duplantis. Even the best product out there on the market can't go anywhere without proper marketing. Joining me now from the HCC marketing program, Linda Koffel. Thanks for being here on the topic.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Now, I imagine there are several certifications folks can get in marketing, along with a 2-year degree and maybe moving on to a 4-year. Maybe you can tell us about that.
Well, we have several. We have an Associate of Applied Science in Marketing. We also have certificates in Retailing and Marketing. We have an Associate of Applied Science in Enterprise and Innovation. And we have a certificate in social media marketing.
And is that the newest one, I would imagine, the social media marketing?
Actually, it's social issues marketing,
Okay.
social enterprise.
Okay.
But yes, it's the newest one. That whole group of enterprise and innovation, it's kind of very similar to entrepreneurship, but it's a little bit different in that it really pushes the innovation more.
What are the jobs out there that are available, especially in the Houston area? What are the most, where would you find the most jobs? And if someone was looking to get something in marketing, where would you instruct them to go?
Well, Houston is really big. Number one, a lot of the big jobs that students would really like, the new generation of students especially, are in marketing. So they would be, I mean, we have healthcare. There's marketing for healthcare. There's marketing for oilfield services. Actually, Houston is one of the big manufacturing centers. We don't talk about that much, but it is. So there's
we
marketing.
talk about it here. Absolutely, sure. Absolutely.
But there's a lot of jobs in manufacturing and all the big main areas that Houston's famous for. There's marketing jobs. And there's a lot of marketing jobs. They don't always have the word marketing in them.
Right. So what kind are you talking about here?
I'm talking about like entry level, like
Okay.
marketing coordinators, like engineering. Let's take that. Every engineering firm has to have a lot of marketing people that help the engineers get the projects. And so they write the proposals, do presentations, do social media. That's just one example. Healthcare, they have entire in the facility TV stations, public relations, all of these have entry-level jobs for marketing associates, client representatives, account executives. The list is huge. And a lot of the really impactful jobs in America today, and in Houston especially, because we're a service economy for the most part, are in marketing. And
Right.
the thing is that a lot of times students don't know that. You know, they go into management because
Yeah.
they think, okay, if I'm management, I'm going to be a manager. But really, a lot of the exciting jobs are in marketing, and especially right now with things like you mentioned, social media. Social media is one where we have a course in e-commerce, for example, and our advertising courses also talk about social media. That's a new up-and-coming field. Every company needs to have one. They usually hire entry-level people. They might call them marketing associates or social media associates, people like that.
What I'm finding and what I've talked to students about is it seems like companies are now looking for the all-in-one person, where you can come in, do some social media, but you can also pick up your cell phone or camera, go out and shoot some of it, and upload it to the website, edit it, and also write well. Do you find that as well?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And fortunately, for a lot of the people that are coming through our courses, they do that. I've had many of my students, well, not many, let me say a good number, have gone out and started their own little business in social media.
Well, I mean, it's Houston is certainly the market. I mean, one time I had a small agency before I came here, and you're working, helping someone market or sell their product, but you got to know a little bit, and you've got to know a lot of people who are going to help you get that product out there.
Yeah, that's true. And Houston has all the different range of marketing aspects, product development, innovation. We've got huge numbers of we've got a lot of agencies, a lot of public relations, sports, entertainment, people that work with public relations for sports. And so Houston is a really big market for marketing.
If someone comes to you, a young student or someone just wanting to get a certification, what path do you suggest to them? Can you get good jobs with just the certifications, or is that something you maybe need after you have a degree to go ahead and further your career? What would you suggest to them?
Well, I suggest, because I work for the part of the college that has what we call the workforce programs, I suggest to students that they sign up first for an Associate of Applied Science in Marketing and then go for their 4-year. the myth is that the Associate of Applied Science doesn't transfer, but that's not true. It transfers to every school that is a state-supported school that has a Bachelor of Applied Science. So I tell them, you get that AAS first, because if something happens and you don't finish that 4 years, that AAS has specific skill courses like advertising, marketing research, strategy that are going to help you get an actual job. Even the certificates that have specific courses that are in marketing and in business that give them skills help them to get a job more than just a general degree. A general degree is good. It's always good to have an AA degree, but unless they know for sure that they're going to be able to make it through that 4 years, unless they know they're going to have the money, they're going to have the time. In other words, if they're on financial aid, or they have kids, or they have a job full-time, it may be better for them to get the AAS so that if something happens at the end of that 2 years, they have that credential. Whereas if they don't have that, they just have a general degree and they never get the actual technical courses that won't help them get a job. So I tell them, get that AAS and then transfer to like University of Houston College of Technology that takes the whole thing.
Well, that's a good point. You're giving them an option, and when I went to college, and I'm sure it was with you the same, I wound up taking an extra semester of courses I didn't even really need, and I know nowadays, especially at HCC, we work with other colleges to make sure that doesn't happen.
Yes, we articulate, they call it articulation. There's different kinds. Like if I have a student that gets our degree, that student will not transfer to like U of H College of Business because they want the first 2 years to be the general academics like history. But it will transfer to University of Houston College of Technology. And I've had several students like you that took a lot of stuff they didn't quote unquote need because it was academics or whatever, that went over to College of Technology and only had another year to finish their bachelor's.
Which is a great thing, especially for students now who are looking to get in and get out there in the job market. So marketing, good choice if you're looking to go and get a job within the next few years?
Absolutely.
And you see the numbers growing?
I see the numbers of our students growing, and I see the jobs growing out there. And I think that we're going to have even more because as more of the students get interested in things like website development, I mean, part of it's computer science, but all the content is marketing people that write it. And then social media, we're going to have more and more and more people that are going to be interested in marketing. And interested in innovation is the other big thing. Where do the innovators come from? Well, some would be engineering, but a lot of it comes from marketing people that are sitting in groups doing product development for companies and things like that.
Linda Koffel, HCC Marketing Program. If you'd like to learn more about the marketing program, you can go to hccs.edu/marketing. On the topic, I'm Todd Duplantis. I'll be back with more after this.
HCC. So many ways to learn, so little tuition. Register today at hccs.edu/now.
We have academic programs that help students get from high school into a university. And the data is very clear that students that take the path of a community college finish in far higher numbers than students that start straight into a university experience. Our students can achieve a baccalaureate degree in multiple fields from the universities in the area without ever leaving Houston Community College.
Welcome back to The Topic. I'm Todd Duplantis. Business growth depends on really how well a business is doing now and in the future. Who helps them out? Accountants. They help keep their clients in line as far as their financials. Joining me now to talk about the HCC's accounting department is Donald Bond. Thanks for being here on the topic.
Thank you very much.
Now, I imagine with accounting, as in with many programs with HCC, you have levels of certifications one can attain, and also you can earn a 2-year degree and possibly a transfer to another college. Tell us about that.
Yes. At the 4-year schools, the first 2 years, you get your basic courses out of the way, and then you start focusing in on your major. At HCC, we help in that process. In the certificate program and 2-year program, students can knock out the first 2 years, the Accounting Principles 1, Accounting Principles 2, also take a co-op that will prepare them for either going directly into the workforce or continuing on with their education at a 4-year institution.
I think what a lot of people just don't realize is going to HCC for the 2 years and having a seamless transfer to, say, U of H or Texas A&M, how much money you save in the long run. And a lot of your students that want to have a 4-year degree, this could save them half the cost of going to straight to U of H or UT.
Actually, it can save them more than half. When you look at the tuition at the 4-year institution versus the tuition at our institution, it's a big savings.
Sure.
And you look at students now coming out of 4-year institutions are strangled with student loans.
Absolutely.
And you working 10 years to pay off student loan debt, you're behind the 8 ball. So it makes more sense to come out with the 2-year certification or the 2-year degree and then move on to the 4-year institution.
Can one get the certifications or the 2-year degree and simply go into the workforce? And what type of jobs are available for them?
Yes, they can. Houston, being the city that we are, with the diverse economic industry that we have, accountants, ever since the Enron fiasco, companies have started looking for accounting. The pipeline is full. The jobs are waiting. When you look at an accountant in the past, your image come to mind of somebody sitting there with a 10-key calculator just punching numbers all day. That's gone. Those days are way behind. Now we're really considered to be analysts, looking at costs, looking at how to save costs, looking at how to strengthen controls. And that's where the focus is on now.
You mentioned Enron, and that brings back some memories for me, because in a former life, I actually covered the Enron story and the trials that happened afterwards. You mentioned it briefly, but tell me how much that affected the industry, especially here in Houston, when that crumbled.
Oh, it changed everything. From an accountant standpoint, it put more requirements and regulations on us. I'm a CPA. And so I always had to have 40 hours of continuing education every 2 years and 20 hours a year. But now we have to have an ethics course. Now we have to have additional reporting requirements for financial statements. But where HCC comes in is that in the different various levels of accounting, especially the entry level, they can get jobs. There are jobs waiting. And if you go out there and look on the databases for job applicants, there's accounting. And I tell my students all the time, I don't care what your major is in business, but if you get an accounting degree, you can apply for any job in business. But if you get a marketing degree, you limit it to marketing. If you get a business management degree, you limit it to those. But an accountant can apply for all those jobs.
And the accountant, everybody's looking for somebody who can also be a little bit more versatile, crunch the numbers, but as you mentioned, an analyst, and it sounds like you're a bit of a forecaster as well.
Yes. Now, you have to use that word kind of cautionally.
Right,
okay?
as we go back to Enron.
Yes.
Go back to that.
Yes, we look at numbers, we look at trends, we make reasonable predictions, okay? But we're not out there as some Mervin saying, hey, this is what's going to happen next,
Sure. You mentioned there are a lot of jobs available. If you enroll in the accounting program, do you have services that can help students place them in jobs? Do you have internships that they can go out and work in?
Yes. As part of the program here, students do a co-op, and it's a face-to-face co-op, so they have to work in a company. We have a lot of companies that look specifically for HCC students. They know our accounting program. They know what students go through. And they say, hey, we're ready for them. And the placement office, they get requests all the time.
You mentioned you're a CPA, but being an accountant, not everyone may go that route to be a CPA, but can they have still a very viable, profitable career over a lifetime?
They can do very well. There's various levels of accounting. You know, the entry level, everybody goes through that. You get your foot in the door, you learn the landscape, see what area of accounting you want to go into. And if you want to go into management, then a CPA is probably, in your future. If you want to teach, a CPA is probably in your future. But if you don't want to do those things, CPA is not necessary.
Now, explain to me the CPA process, because if you get the 4-year degree or the 2-year degree, do you have to take more courses for the CPA? Is that along the lines of, say, a master's or a doctorate in translation?
Well, almost, but not quite like that. The requirements to be a CPA, you have to have a college degree, and you have to have 150 hours of college work, with 30 of it being upper-level accounting courses. Now, all that's going to do is qualify you to sit for the exam.
To go take the exam.
To take the exam, yes. To take the exam, you got to prepare. When I took the exam, and the format was different then, it was like a 5.5-month preparation. Now they can take it under different rules and regulations, but it's still pretty intense.
Do you find a number of folks who have been working in the industry as accountants, or simply working in an accounting office, who want to come back and get more certifications to further their career? Do you find those folks working?
Yes, we have a program right now. A lot of accounting majors that graduated with 4-year degrees from U of H and other schools did not have the upper level, the 30 hours of upper level accounting.
To take that CPA.
To sit for.
Or to sit for it, right.
Yes. And so they graduated with 12 hours, 18 hours, 21 hours, okay? So now they want to go back to school, and they can go to U of H or any other 4-year institution and pay $3,000 for one course. They can come to us and pay $300.
Makes a lot of financial sense.
Yeah, so several years ago, about 5 years ago, we went to the state board with a program and said, look, we're teaching from the same textbooks. All of our faculty, our accounting faculty, have CPAs. All of our faculty have graduate degrees. That's not the case at a 4-year institution. They may have a graduate degree, but they don't have the CPA. So our faculty having the CPA designation, also having practical experience. So you bridge that gap between academia and what's happening in the industry. And so when I'm talking to my students in the classroom, I tell them, yeah, this is what the textbook says, but this is the way it's done in the industry. And they say, well, why is that different? I said, well, this is your basic, this is your knowledge, this is giving you the ability to think. And this is how that analytical process that you learn is put into use.
Bridging the two.
Yeah.
Donald Bond, thanks for joining us here on the topic and letting us know more about the accounting program. If you'd like to know more, you can log on to hccs.edu/accounting. For the topic on HCC TV, I'm Todd Duplantis. I'll see you next time.